Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of the Three C's with myself, Emma Kirk, and Sarah Williamson, as usual. And today we're joined by the fabulous Jacqui Drake. It's lovely to see you and hear you. And Jacqui, I know Sarah knows a little bit about your background, but for anybody who doesn't know who you are, could you just give us a little bit of your history, please?
Yeah, as you said, I'm Jacqui Drake and finally got through to you. It's just taken us a little while, hasn't it, to do it, but never mind, hey? And I'm a cancer patient. And I suppose my opening gambit when I speak to people is to say that I'm a cancer patient who's terminally ill with stage 4 malignant melanoma, which sounds devastating. And people normally sort of
Yeah.
fall off the chairs and think, my goodness, how can you be poorly when they look at me? So that's me, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I kind of understand that. When I got cancer, somebody actually said to me, "You don't look like you've got cancer." And I said to them, "Well, what is a cancer person supposed to look like?" So I understand why people might be confused because you do look very well.
Absolutely, yeah. And it is confusing. And my story is quite a long one, to be fair, because it goes back to 1993 when I had a small mole on my right leg and I had it removed and I was clear for 17 years, which, is absolutely fantastic. And it's virtually unheard of for it to come back after that length of time, but it did. And virtually in the same place, but it came up as a lump on my leg. And it took a bit of diagnosing at first because they thought it might be a cyst or something like that. And of course, after a few tests, I was referred on. And the best favour I ever got actually was being referred first and foremost to the Yorkshire Clinic. And it was Mr. Fu there who said, I think you're going to be really unfortunate. He said, because I think this is cancer again. And sure enough, he
Mm.
was right. And he did say to me at the time, he said, look, I could operate on your leg to remove this. He said, but I don't want to do that. He said, I want to refer you to the Bexley, which of course is the Leeds Cancer Centre. And that's the best favour I ever got. And that's 10 years ago now. So for the last 10 years, I've been a patient at the Bexley. And I'm sure you're supposed to get a long service badge or something, you know?
So, Jacqui, your attitude is amazing because medicine is not an exact science. You're one of the most determined and positive people that I've ever met you. Your skin cancer actually travelled through your blood, didn't it? It's a very rare situation and it affected your lung.
It did. It did. They operated on my leg, as you rightly said, Sarah. They did an operation in 2010, and then the following year, in 2011, I found another lump myself on the same leg. So I had another operation on that leg, and it was after that they did a routine body scan, which actually that was a bit of a fluke in a way because but they did, and the routine body scan showed that it had travelled in my bloodstream and it had gone to my lungs. So people were saying things like, you've got lung cancer. And I was like, I haven't got lung cancer in my life. And it's skin cancer in my lung, which sounds ridiculous because you just don't expect that, do you? With, because you think it's a surface disease. I did at that time, obviously, they needed to move on that. And they put me on a course of chemo, which was tablet based at the time, which was great. Well, it wasn't great in one sense because the side effects weren't particularly good. 2 years, and I used to take 8 tablets a day, which they said is pretty hard to tolerate, but I did tolerate it, and I did okay with it. 15, and the tumour in my right lung had escalated to such proportions that they were left with no alternative. and a great surgeon called Costas stepped up, a lung surgeon who would not normally operate on a melanoma patient, but met me. And I think it was the positivity that he saw my will to live. And he said, I'm going to operate. He said, but I'll get the tumour. He said, but I will be taking your right lung. And that's what he did.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing is your medical history alone, but your determination is something that I think we need to bottle, because positivity really has an amazing effect on how the body reacts. I know that you've been on immunotherapy. Is it for the last 2 years?
Yeah, I've just done 2 years. Yeah, I mean, I've been on and off treatment, because when I'd done the tablet treatment, which lasted for like 2 years, which I did again, that was a 2-year thing, and then of course I had my lung removed, and I've had some time off drugs as well. And like I said, we can come back to the side effects in a bit if you like, but some of the side effects were terrible, because I did nearly lose my life, and that wouldn't have been to the cancer. But in terms of the pneumotherapy, Sarah, it was, you know, it's a great drug. You know, it promotes your immune system, as opposed to traditional chemo, which can destroy everything. It gets your immune system to fight the cancer. And I've been on this, as you say, for 2 years, and I go in every 4 weeks and have this drug. And I've been one of the fortunate ones, because there's lots of different immunotherapies, but the drug I'm on is called nivolumab, and it's used, as I say, for various different cancers, but they do use it a lot for melanoma, and it's proved really good for me. I mean, it's kept me stable, and that's important. That's the best that I can get. It's not going to clear it up. They're not going to give me a miracle and say, do you know what, you are totally clear of cancer now. And I'm not expecting that at all. But it has kept things, I think, where we need to be for me right now. And obviously it's extended my life. As I say, you know, all the drugs that I've had in the treatment of the Bexley have been outstanding, without a shadow of a doubt.
It's good that we're talking in medical terms. People listening would think we're drug addicts the way we talk about drugs. Anything that's going to is awesome, just like you. And what I'd love to know, Jacqui, because you're a great advocate like me of St James's and the Bexley wing, you're a frequent user, not the non-user friendly. But how changed for you during COVID?
How's what? Sorry.
How has treatment changed for you during COVID? I'm thinking about you know, how quiet it is, or the PPE. What have you noticed that's different?
Well, the first thing that was different, certainly, the first thing that happened was, soon as this broke out, my scans had been going ahead as normal. So I'd always been scanned every 3 months. And so I'd been scanned in November, and my next one obviously was due coming up. And they'd left it a little bit later than normal, which was a shame, because I wish they'd have got it in, but they didn't. So as soon as COVID broke out, within a matter of hours, well, 2 hours actually, this is what happened. I spoke to oncology, and they said, yeah, come in for your scan on Saturday. Now this was Friday lunchtime when I spoke to them at 1 o'clock. Yeah, come in tomorrow, have your scan, and then we shall be seeing you in clinic. And within 2 hours, radiology had rung and said all scans had been cancelled. And I rang then back to oncology to speak to them, because I was obviously concerned, and they didn't even know. I was telling them, because it was such breaking news. So the first thing that happened was scans got cancelled. So that was problematic in one sense, because as a cancer patient on treatment, you want to know that everything is where it should be and in place. And those 3 monthly scans are really important. So that was a bit of a blow. The good news for me was that I was able to continue with treatment. And not just that they wanted me to continue with treatment, but I also wanted to continue, because I know some patients have actually said, even though the doctors have said, look, we'd love you to come in, they've said no, they don't want to go because they're frightened, and they're anxious and worried. And that's understandable, because just like what you just said, Sarah, there, that, they're worried about going in and picking up, obviously, COVID. And then, people don't like to see people in masks, gloves, aprons, whatever, even though it's a hospital environment. In terms of going in for treatment, the difference for me is walking in the Bexley, as you know, that I do a lot of my Jacqui Million selling and promoting for the appeal there. So and you know what the atrium's like. So you go in and there might be the man on the piano, might be, and he's playing and it's wonderful. And it's always a bit hustly bustly in there, isn't it? Lots of what I call lots of really good life. When you walk in there, it's not like a hospital. So the first thing is when you walk in, obviously, it's quieter. They've spread the chairs out more. They've taken some of the stuff out. There isn't a man playing the piano, that sort of thing. The coffee shops weren't open at one point. They are, of course, now. But once you got on the ward, when you got to J80, which is where I go, the day ward, it's pretty much business as usual up there. Probably just leaving, if you've got 3 chairs in a row down the side for patients to sit in having treatment, they're probably leaving the middle chair free. So you're just a little bit more spread out. But it is pretty much the same. Obviously, that they've got to have all the PPE on and everything, which is to be expected. The lady still comes around with your cup of tea and all that sort of thing. And the environment feels just as lovely. And that sounds really, when I say lovely, people are like, what do you mean you're on a chemo ward? Lovely. But it is a lovely environment. It really is. And I know a lot of, obviously we're doing 10 years there, I know a lot of people as well, and a lot of the patients. So it feels like a safe place. And, I would urge people to not be frightened, not to be scared, and to think about it seriously, because we're in this position, and as much as COVID has caused so many deaths and tragedies for people, and lots of lives lost, and families must be devastated losing them, we've got to think about cancer patients, and not just cancer patients, anybody who needs treatment. And we need to get back on track, really, don't we, a little bit with that sort of thing. As I say, I've been one of the lucky ones. On the ward, the nurses were saying that they're probably treating about 50% of patients to what they were before. So on an average day, J80 treats about 90 patients. So they're probably about 50 now at this stage. And what they've also done is they've introduced Saturdays. Normally it was Monday to Friday, and they've actually put Saturday in as well, so that it gives people other options, particularly again if they're going back to work and that type of thing.
I think your message is loud and clear, Jacqui, that when you have a symptom, you need to get it checked out, and cancer's going to be there after COVID, and the sooner someone gets treated, the better.
Absolutely, it really is. It's about getting that diagnosis, isn't it? And again, it's that fear of maybe contacting the GP, and people are, they're worried about going in and getting something in a hospital. I mean, the only thing I can say about the Bexley is, it's incredibly safe, because it's COVID free. That it is specifically for cancer. They've been able to do that at St James's and kept other areas of the hospital for COVID. So when you do go in to the Bexley, as I said, for me personally, it's still my safe place, and I've always felt like that, even in real times of need when things were really bad for me. It's always been my safe place, absolutely. And those doctors, nurses, oncologists, surgeons, everybody, I would stand on my soapbox day in, day out to praise them and to do what I'm doing for them.
I'd be right behind you.
I think what strikes me there is that if I'm not sure what's happened happened there. Jacqui, can you still hear me?
I can still hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay.
I think we just had a freeze.
Right. Okay. So I was.
The wind is.
The thing I was going to say was that for me, listening to you talk about what could potentially be such a negative life process in such a positive way, that if other people are watching this, you know, that have similar experiences, they can take a lot from the way you're talking about it if they're being faced with it at maybe the beginning of their journey.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, one of the oncologists it's not at the Bexley anymore, but Clive Mulatero was my original oncologist, and he said, "I wish we could bottle your positivity." And there's a little story that goes with that, but and I sort of laughed, and he said patients with cancer do better if they've got positivity. He said, and you've got it in abundance. He said, you know, if only we could bottle that. And that's not taking anything away from the drugs at all, because they're really important, obviously. Without the treatments, you know, where would we be? But I think a positive outlook on it and an attitude towards it. And I say that I'm living with cancer, and I'm living positively every day with cancer. And it stood me in good stead. Going back to what Sarah said earlier, he also said to me that medicine is not an exact science. It never was, and it never will be. And then he said to me, we work on a law of averages. And he said, but you're not very average, are you? And I couldn't decide whether it was a compliment or an insult. So, but you know, I've tried to carry that positivity even through the dark times, and there have been dark times. You know, at the end of 2015, unfortunately, one of the drugs I was on, I contracted colitis, and I won't wish it upon anybody. I lost 11 pounds in weight. I'm very slender anyway, which I'm fortunate for. But I lost 11 pounds in weight. I was in hospital for a couple of weeks. Again, they got me sorted and they sent me home. I did really well. We had Christmas. And then come the January of that year, of 2016, taking into account I'd only got the one lung that we talked about earlier because they removed the other one prior to this. One morning I got up and I just knew my breathing wasn't right for me. And that's knowing your own body, and that's trusting your instincts, because I knew, you know, I thought, I know I've only got one lung, but this just does not feel right. And we had the GP round and stuff and checked my chest and all that. And again, I rang the Bexley and straight to assessment. They said, we want you in. I went in and I wasn't even feeling poorly, but I was there with a little oxygen mask on in my bed. I was choreographing a show at the time, so I'd got dancers dancing at the side of the bed and all sorts of stuff going on, keeping the ward entertained, I suppose. And it took them 5 days to diagnose it. But they gave my mum and dad the worst case scenario, because they did say she's only got one lung and we do not know what's wrong. And they were taking blood after blood after blood. And eventually some bright spark, don't know who it was, but the registrar came in and he had a smile on his face, and I said, you know where it is, don't you? And this were 5 days in. And he said, yeah. He said, you've contracted pneumocystis, which is extremely rare. And if you Google it, which I won't advise people to use Google at all to look up any conditions or what treatments and stuff, because I think you can frighten yourself to death, and I certainly don't. But apparently it can be shown in HIV patients and rarely in cancer patients. But as soon as they knew where it was, that was 5 days in, they took some of the antibiotics down that were up, they racked up what they needed to do, and 4 days later, I came home. And that's just, that for me, that's
Amazing.
outstanding treatment. I mean, you know, I was in total, I was in 9 days, but they told me, and my mum, you know, one of the doctors said to me, you are one very, very holy lady. And I knew what it meant. And as I said, they gave my mum and dad the worst case scenario. And that was, you know, that was January 2016. And here I am now.
Amazing.
Yeah, still got cancer. You know, 3 operations on my right leg, 3 operations on my right leg, lung taken out, all the treatments, still terminally ill. But here I am, 10 years on.
So Jacqui, in my maths, I think you've had 10 years of treatment of Bexley. You've recently had a stable scan. So from the trial that you're on, is the drug working, or is this your body with its positivity basically sticking 2 fingers up to cancer and saying, I'm happy?
Well, it's hard to say, and it's in a trial drug, Sarah. It's in a trial in this drug, but as you said, I've been on it for 2 years. There is no evidence at this stage, and that's because it's a newish drug. And the problem, obviously, with newish drugs, and when I say new, it's been going a few years, but it takes time for them to evaluate all the drugs, doesn't it? And in 20 years' time, they'll probably be able to say this drug's fantastic for that, and it's done this and whatever. Right now, where I am with it, we know that I'm stable. As you just rightly said, the scan came back and said that, but there's no evidence really to prove whether it's me or the drug, because it hasn't shrunk the cancer. If it had shrunk the cancer down, then they would be able to say, wouldn't they, well, that's definitely the drug. That's not my body doing that, really. That would probably be the drug. But there isn't any evidence. And, you know, I sort of accept that. And, you know, maybe it is the power of positivity as well. I don't want to decry the drug because, you know, has it kept me stable, or is it me? Is it my own immune system? And is it that positivity to fight through?
Jacqui, I've got a couple of questions actually. So the first one is, it sounds very similar to a drug that my cousin was given, which wasn't designed to shrink the tumour, but to halt its growth. And the next question is, how do you keep yourself fit and healthy? Because obviously we know that supports a good immune system.
Yeah, I mean, these drugs are, I think these drugs, the new drugs that are not traditional chemo, are to try and, as I said, promote your immune system to fight. So, and it's not destroying your immune system. And they are to give you lifespan if they can, not to just help you through a period. Sometimes traditional chemo is used when there's no other thing to use really. When they get to a point of, you know, what else? You know, I've not had any traditional chemo. I've not had any radiotherapy. So I've been lucky in that sense. In terms of what you're saying about how do I keep myself fit, I've always danced. So I trained as a dancer. I had a theatre school where I taught kids aged 3 to 18. So in all performing arts, so singing, dance, drama. So I've always been active. I'm a choreographer, so I choreograph productions. So that's kept me fit. And I've always danced throughout my life. So, you know, I've always had that in my back pocket, really. So I've always been quite active. Obviously, it's been difficult during COVID because not being able to go out and do things. And what I've tried to do is a little exercise program each day. Maybe have a day off, but even if it's just half an hour, you know, and I can't go jogging with one lung. And even walking sometimes can be a problem. You know, if you're walking up a hill or things, your breathing's difficult. So I set myself a little exercise regime that I do that takes me probably 30 minutes. But you know, I do it in front of the TV, put something on, and bit of stretching, bit of this, bit of that, and I do that, and I think that's helped. And I also think that helps you with your mental health as well. And my mental health's good, but I think anything like that and having a routine helps, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, we all need routine, and that's sort of thrown us completely with COVID. So it's trying to, you know, and I live on my own, so you could say, well, that's difficult, but it's having a routine, keeping busy. The appeal, of course, Jacqui's Million keeps me busy. So I've tried to, even though during this time, again, it's been difficult because a lot of events have been postponed. I won't say they've been cancelled, but they've been put on the back burner. I've had to think of other ways, how can we generate money? And I think that helps as well. Just having I think you've got to have a focus us, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I totally agree with you, Jacqui. I think, I'm guessing before the pandemic, I think you're around £203,000, and COVID interrupted that. But through being an avid reader and following everything you do, I'm working out that you're 12,000. Forgive me if those figures are wrong, but that means you've made about £9,000 during COVID, which I think has to be applauded. Talk about Jacqui's Millions, because that in itself is amazing.
Yeah, well, you're quite right, Sarah. I mean, the figures have racked up. I mean, if I go back to the end of the year, if we go back to end of last year, we were at 191,000, and we've actually just broken through 213,500. So we've made in 6 months, we've made over 22,000. And as you quite rightly said, 4 months of that has been, during COVID. So to generate that has been tremendous, and that's down to people's continued support and following Jacqui's Million, which I'm very proud of. And I set Jacqui's Million up because, just going back to what I was saying about the end of 2015, beginning of 2016, when things were really bad for me, that was the time when I had hospitalisation, really. Prior to that, I'd been going on as a day patient for treatment. So I suppose I saw firsthand, for that limited time, the tremendous work that's done at the Bexley, even more so. And when I came out, I thought, I need to do something. I need to step up. I need to use my story. I'm not frightened of telling my story, as you can tell. And I came out and I just made a comment of, I'm going to raise some money for the hospital. And somebody said to me, how much are you thinking, Emma? Originally, I said 250,000. And then I thought it sounded mean. So I changed it to $1 million. So I changed it to $1 million. People keep putting an S on the end, though, and it is Jacqui's Million. But people say, oh, Jacqui's Millions. And my stance on that is, let's get the million in first, shall we? But I have pledged to bring in £1 million. And we joke about it when I do go for treatment at the Bexley and when I see the oncologist, because I say, I'm not going anywhere yet because I haven't got that million in. So you can't. And I say to God, you're not taking me because I need to get that $1 million in. So don't be thinking anything about I'm off this planet yet. And I suppose, in a way, it's probably quite naive when I set it up, because I am no fundraiser. But what I did was I tried to use the skills that I had, which was my theatre skills. I tried to sort of steer it a little bit. So I did events and I put on shows and stuff that people could come and watch. So I'm quite good at doing all of that sort of thing. Then I was thinking, right, what else can I do? So I did a cookery book, which went really well. So then it set off this Jacqui's Million merchandise. And now I've got a range of merchandise that I do, from candles to gin glasses to whatever. But it's all about positivity. And, I wrote a positivity message to go with it, which I send out with all the merchandise. And so, and as you know, Sarah, that's how we met at the Bexley, through me having the stall there. And, I miss going to the Bexley because I would normally do that once a month. And it connects me with patients. I've met a lot of people along the way, just as you have, that follow on Facebook, that are there. People that I've seen, people that we've lost as well, unfortunately, along the way. And yeah, I'm proud of Jacqui's Million. I'm proud and I'm not proud because it's me, I'm proud because of the following that it has and the people that support it. Because in this time of COVID, when we could have made nothing really, people have been generous, and we've had to think outside the box a little bit. I've had 2 friends making face coverings, making masks, and they've probably made 700 masks. All the money's gone to the Bexley, so they're only £3 each, and that includes your postage. So the cheap as chips, but we've done about 700 of them, And, you know, that's generated probably 1,600 quid easily for the appeal. You know, it is, and it's hard, but for me, all I want is I want Jacqui's Million to be recognised as a bigger charity, I suppose. It's part of Leeds Cares, which is the overriding charity, and I'm very proud to be branded into Leeds Cares, because that is fantastic that they wanted Jacquie's Million to be part of them. So that is a real feather in our cap. I'd love it to go national. I've managed to pick up a couple of awards along the way, which is lovely. But again, those awards aren't for me. They're for cancer patients, and for supporters as well. Because, you know, without the donations, what do we do? And the money that we raise is all about patient comfort care, as you know. It's the things sometimes that people don't think about, that we're supplying, really, not supplying, that's the wrong word, funding is the right word, that we are funding through donations. You know, scalp coolers and caps was one of the first ones. £110,000 for 10 of those. That's a huge, massive chunk of money. But again, I got connected with Paxman who do them, and met Claire Paxman, and her mum, I don't know whether you know, but her mum died of cancer. And it was through her journey that her husband actually designed the new ones. And at some cancer centres, you would not be offered the facility of a cap and a cooler. Now, I've been fortunate, I've not lost my hair through any treatment, but many people do. And to be given that option as a patient, male or female, you know, it's wonderful, isn't it? And that's just one of the things we've done. I mean, we've done so much with the money.
I have been quite inspired by your work. I worked on Shireen Hampshire's campaign at Pinderfields. She's a dear friend who went through breast cancer and is now terminal and is on treatment, obviously. And she saw a need to provide chemo bags as comforters for various age groups. And then she sourced all of this herself, and we were inspired by that. And like yourself, we hooked up with the Paxman Group, and we managed to buy a dual cold cap machine and cold caps because they didn't have enough sizes for different sized heads. And we were so proud to achieve Shireen's dream. There was 3 or 4 of us that spearheaded that, and in 6 months raised the 10,000. And COVID kind of came along, and we kind of looked at what else can we do, when we looked at the masks like yourself. So we're all sewing our socks off at the minute. I want you to mention the other things that you've managed to employ at Bexley. I know I think it was a lead nurse that you've been able to employ.
Yeah, I mean, we've done so much. It's like I look at it, it's like a shopping list when I look at it. But we did the caps and coolers, which was the 110. We then employed Alison Beckett, who is again on J80, and she's a lead nurse in systemic anti-cancer therapy. Nice title. I don't understand the ins and outs of it. All I know is that it was needed, and so we employed Alison for a period of 12 months, and that cost £56,000 for her 12 months. We provided chairs for J80 for patients for chemotherapy, because if you're there all day and you're on treatment, I mean, I go in and mine's normally an afternoon slot, and if everything's running according to plan, I can be there, say, from 1 o'clock until maybe 5 o'clock. Some people are there a lot longer than that, and sometimes I've been there longer than that, because there can be delays, and that's inevitable. But the chairs need to be comfortable. There need to be recliners that are remote control, because some people are frail. They can't get in and out of things easily. So, and when you're looking at the cost of those, we've just done 10 chairs for J80, which came to roughly about 15,000. Simple things like drip stands. If there's not a drip stand available, they can't put your drug up. It's as simple as that. And on wards, sometimes they beg, borrowing and stealing them. So we bought some drip stands for J89, 15 drip stands. That came to over £3,000. Simple stuff. We've just recently, I've just announced that we've just got clearance on what we're funding with recent money. So some of the recent stuff that we've done is art therapy for J94, should I say? And you're like, art therapy, and it's pottery. It was 230 quid. But that art therapy for those patients is absolutely vital because it provides them with a focus, a distraction, and positivity. We're putting LED panels into a surge room, and a surge room is a room where there's no natural light, so there's no windows or anything. So if you're in there in isolation, can you imagine being like, it's like in a box, isn't it? Being in a box. And you're not there for a day. You could be there for, you could be there for a long time. This LED panel's put up and it projects an image onto it that can look like a window. So, and there's different things you can put onto it. So it could have trees on, or clouds, or flowers. But so you've got some sort of image. That's important. That's £1,780.
Do you know
2 vital sign monitors? These are crucial. 2 vital sign monitors for radiotherapy. That's 3,720 quid. And then the 2 little bits that we've just done as well are dementia clocks and night lamps for the HDU unit, because people in HDU, again, because of lack of natural daylight, lose all sense of time. So the dementia clocks really help. And of course, the night lights are lovely because you haven't got that fluorescent light, it just makes it more calming, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And these are just examples of the sort of stuff that we are able to do,
Jack,
and move forward with.
For me, what shines out clear from everything you do is that patient experience is vital to see what the essentials are to top up the NHS. Now, I pledge, and I'm going to bring Emma in with this as well, we will happily be in one of your shows to support you. If people want to be part of and to support you, how do they get in touch?
Yeah, I mean, the way that people can support from home, when I set Jacqui's Million up, the original idea was if I tapped into 1 million people and everybody gave just £1, the job would be done. And we can all afford £1. So people can go to the donations page and pledge a donation, a small donation. And to do that, they go to www.Jacqui
that's that's bad timing. She's disappeared.
I'm still here.
We've lost a picture. Yeah. Do you happen to know? I can hear you, Jacqui. I can hear you, but I can't actually see you anymore. Your picture's disappeared. Can you just tell me the site?
We'll put a link on.
Yeah, and we can put a link on. I think she's gone completely now.
Here.
I will share it onto this. So Jacqui, if you're still there, we can't see you, darling, but can you give me the link for the site so where people can go, and I'll put it on as a link.
Yeah. It's www.justgiving.com/Jacqui's Million. I'm still here. Can you see me?
No.
Can't see. You can hear. The wind has just got up and we've lost a transmission there visually.
Oh.
That's okay. That's okay. We're to be fair, we're about out of time anyway, Jacqui. But what I was going to say to you was from from my point of view, it's been absolutely amazing listening to your story. I know Sarah obviously knows you well, but for myself, meeting you today has been absolutely incredible. You're such an inspirational person. It's brilliant to listen to your story. I am quite keen to have a go on that Potter's Wheel, though, because, you know, ever since I watched Ghost with Patrick Swayze, I've been fancying that.
Well, absolutely.
So if there's an option for that, you know, I'm well up.
I'm well up. The only other thing that just before we go, if we're finishing off, the other thing that I'd really like to do, and I said this to Sarah, and I don't know how practical this is, but I'd love to get some sort of thing on the radio, some sort of slot. We were talking about it, weren't we, Sarah, where cancer patients could ring in and chat to someone, because it's great having all the medical knowledge, and we all need that medical knowledge, but sometimes it's hard to talk about things, even to your family and your close friends and loved ones. But sometimes it's easier to talk to someone who is experiencing or has been through it, like Sarah and myself, you know. And I don't know how you two can make this happen, but if you could, a lovely slot on radio would be fantastic.
We'll have conversations and see what we can come up with.
You are a fantastic cancer champion. So from the bottom of my heart, I just want to thank you for sharing your story and spending time with us today, and hopefully we can get you some more followers.
That'd be absolutely wonderful. And if you want to do a follow-up interview or anything, if there's anything more I can do, please just get in touch with me and let me know how I can share this. You know what I'm like with technology, so just let me know how I can share this across to people. And it's been a delight to see you, Sarah, again. And hopefully I'll see you once we can both get out and about and all the rest of it. And meeting you, Emma, today has been great. Thanks for the help with the technology earlier. I think we're all reliant upon it.
No
as just proved right now, it doesn't always work. It doesn't always work, does it? We need to go back to pen and paper.
Brilliant. Thank you for watching today, everybody, and I'm sure you'll be following Jacqui's story, as I will, and join us next time when we are hopefully back and chatting to more inspirational people.